Hello there, and welcome to High on the Bookshelf with Barb and Simi. I'm Barb.
And I am Simi, and we talk about books where women are strong and men are dreamy. So,
Hello.
Barb, A Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Yes.
First of all, good job us. We finished the Throne of Glass in just 3 episodes. So
Yeah, let's see how long this is gonna take.
yeah. So we have a couple of notes. So we're gonna kick it off, and we'll see. We probably might like split it into 2 episodes in case it gets too long, which probably will happen because shitload of stuff to talk about regarding A Court of Thorn and Roses.
This series is great, but let's face it, the storyline is kind of an excuse for all those spicy scenes. I mean, especially the last book, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna read from it during this podcast.
So stay tuned.
Yes, we're gonna talk Wingspans. We're gonna talk... What we're gonna talk about?
Our favorite sex scenes.
Oh my god, yeah, and there were many to choose from. Yeah, and there was also some things that were happening, right? And some great
There was a plot as well.
There was
right?
a storyline we were following. Were we reading it for the storyline? Well, yeah, of course we did. Yeah.
It was for me. I don't know. Do we want to really? Probably we want to keep the comparing until you finish the Crescent City, and we're gonna do like entire episode just comparing the 3 series of this massverse and how is everything interconnected and because when you read it, like you see repeating certain patterns and certain tropes that are used like in each book, and I'm so excited to talk about that. Because I already read the Crescent City. Barb just started with the Crescent City. She's into first 100 pages. So hopefully that will like...
Well, it sounds like at the beginning sounds exciting. So we shall see. And I mean, like when you're talking about author repeating some tropes and repeating something, I think it's like very common for all authors.
Obviously.
I mean, I remember when I was like 15 or 16, I fell in love with Erich Maria Remarque.
Oh.
And I loved his books, and I think that I read all of them. But at some point, I was like, I feel like I read this book already. There were just like different people telling it, you know. And it happened with multiple authors. I fell in love with, so it's normal. And especially Sarah, she's... you start with one book and you always go all the way, to finish all those books. And there are still some in production. I heard that there's going to be one coming next year, I think.
The one in ACOTAR series. For
Yeah.
sure. And probably the Crescent City will have at least one book, I think.
Yeah. And I heard her when she was talking about ACOTAR that I think that she's contracted 2 more books, but she said there is infinite number of books she can write, because obviously everyone needs a book, right? We want to hear about Ezreal. We want to hear about Tarkin, right?
Oh yeah, I really need to hear more about Tarkin.
Yeah, and we need a Tamlin to have his redemption story.
And possibly a mate.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So let's dive into ACOTAR series. So
yes,
and this is yet again repeating pattern with Sarah. Like she is retelling the old tales, and with ACOTAR there are several actually. So first of all, there is this Scottish ballad called Tamlin.
Of course.
That tells a story, a man that was cursed by a fairy queen, and he needs a human woman to fall in love with him and break the curse, which is basically the plotline of the first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses. When you started to read book, I know you wrote to me like, oh my god, this is full Cinderella story because of the 3 sisters and only one sister does the job, right? Or
and
works.
Yeah, one nice sister and 2 bitches. Let's call it as it is, Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Elaine and Nesta from the beginning, definitely.
So what were your feelings like going into the series and reading about Nesta and Elaine, like in the very beginning before we got more information on their story?
I was very annoyed by them, and I didn't get like why she was like trying so hard, to keep saving them and do everything for them, and especially in the part when she actually killed the wolf and she skinned him and she sold the fur, and she was thinking, okay, what I'm gonna do with those money? I'm gonna give it to my sisters because like this one needs a cloak, this one needs a shoes. And I was like, why the fuck do you care? Just like let them die.
Oh my God. Okay, you are pretty brutal here.
I mean, like, let them. I mean, they are all adults. I mean, even though they are younger, but still, nobody's doing their anything. She's like a father who is just pathetic. She has two sisters who are just like, okay, they are upset and everything and not doing anything. Okay.
Well, except Elaine, who is attending to her flower garden.
Oh, so useful.
Yeah. Hear me out. How about you plant some carrots?
Or potatoes, so you have food for entire winter, you know. But maybe they didn't go to America to bring them to, you know.
But any veggies or fruit or something. Come on, Ellen, you can do it. You can do it.
Yes.
Girl, I know you can.
Yeah, but no, flowers are more pretty.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, but I get the setup. The thing I'm not really getting the choice of Feyre being the youngest, because usually what would make sense from like psychological point of view, you have the oldest sibling usually steps in and takes the role of the missing parent. It's called parentification, and if you went through the therapy as the oldest sibling, you are probably way too familiar with that word.
Yeah, we are older siblings.
We are, yeah.
We know. So that's why also I didn't get messed up. But then again, like we shouldn't expect the oldest, you know, sibling to do all the job.
Yeah,
like,
but usually that's what happens.
That.
Right?
Yeah, because we are raised that way. Oh, you're responsible for your siblings. But there it was like all the other way around. And also the mother asked the Feyre to actually take care of her sisters.
Yeah.
So
it's just like it would make slightly more sense to me if the Feyre was the oldest, and
yes.
and in reading through those books, actually I have to like actively remind myself Feyre is the youngest because she felt like the older sibling to me.
Yes. But yeah, then again, it's weird if you are from families of multiple siblings to feel these reverse dynamics.
Yeah. No, but back to the Cinderella story. Even there was this scene when Feyre was under the mountain. One of the chores Amaranta prepared for her was to actually pick the lentils from the ashes, which is
totally.
It's a Cinderella plot. Well, it's one of the tasks Cinderella was supposed to do in order to be able to go to the ball, which is yet again a really nice use of that. And
I mean, and not just that, all those chores were like that. They were impossible.
Ah, yeah.
So she was doing that just to like mess up with her, and that was happening also in Cinderella story. Yeah. So yeah.
And obviously there is the Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is the most prominent one, I would say.
Yeah, and then that's the moment when Stockholm syndrome enters the channel and never leaves Feyre.
Did you know the Beauty and the Beast originally it was written I think it's like 16th, 17th century French tale, and it was written specifically for French maidens to warm up to arranged marriages.
I'm not surprised because when you think about all these like old tales, like they are usually very fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not surprised at all. Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast is the retelling of the girl that has to go to live with the Beast in the fairy tale castle when everything is taken care of, right? So it's kind of like telling the girls like, don't worry about being married to this monster, probably much older than you, because you will have servants, you will have wealth, and you might actually fall in love.
Or you might fuck one of those servants instead. Well, there might be some handsome guy around, right? Well, because the old guy is not gonna like become like this handsome prince anymore. I would have to like, I have this stupid trait that I'm imagining myself in all the situation, you know, I'm that empathetic. No, I was thinking like, okay, if I'm imagining in like arranged marriage with like this kind of weird old guy I hate totally, I mean, I would try to find
pleasure
some escape elsewhere, you know.
Oh, of course.
And I mean, like when you are thinking about queens and princesses back in the day, well, many times they found their entertainment
Elsewhere.
and love elsewhere. I mean, like Catherine the Great is a great example of that, you know. Yeah, apparently none of her children were actually descendants of the
Okay.
emperor. But we don't know. But apparently that happened. Anyways, back to the story.
No, and also there is the Norwegian fairy tale called East of the Sun and West of the Moon, which is basically Beauty and the Beast retelling with this. It's called like search for the lost husband trope in all the fairy tales. And all these like search for the lost husband fairy tales actually come from the Greek story of Eros and Psyche. This is the inspiration for the first book, and the inspiration for the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury, is actually taken from another Greek story about Hades and Persephone. I'm thinking like what kind of fairy tales could be inspiration for ACOTAR and for Nesta storyline.
I don't know if there was any for Nesta storyline.
Because it was just excuse for the
Oh
for
yeah. Like following storyline there was really hard. So yeah, I don't think there was a much of a storyline. It was mostly her character development and Cassian's relationship with her, right? And the wingspan. So, but let's talk about this moment. You know, when Feyre is with her sisters, and she's going to hunt, and I mean like. Okay, they're apparently eating just meat because that's all she can hunt for. She went out, she killed this wolf. She suspected it could be a fairy, you know, and then like this creature comes there and is gonna claim her. And I mean, so how did you feel about the situation? You know, she's there. The creature comes in. Father is basically doing nothing. He's just like.
But he I mean, he's consistent with his character, like doing nothing all the time.
Doing nothing.
Okay, but like let's give him some benefit of the doubt. Probably there is some trauma that actually
Of course,
that he was not dealing with, and hence he's like in the paralyzed state of mind and.
Yeah, for some time already. But I mean, Nesta is protecting Elaine, which
Yeah,
Feyre
like
is
like
shocked.
what the fuck? Also, what the fuck?
Why
Like,
don't you
Nesta is
protect-
always protecting Elaine, but shit's on Feyre.
Yeah.
I really don't get that.
Yeah, and I also don't think that Elaine is so, you know, like, because they are describing her all the time, like, as this, like gentle flower, and like they have to protect her because something, and I don't
She's
think,
grown as woman.
first of all, yeah, she's grown and I don't think, like, she's defenseless.
No.
From I mean, okay, we don't have yet her book, but I didn't get the feeling when she was already in the night court that she was defenseless. I mean, like, she had a period when she was depressed because, like, she was supposed to get engaged. I mean, to get married, she was already engaged and she was in love, and like, whole life, like, fell apart for her,
Yeah.
right? But I don't think she was defenseless. Later we found out that she had, like, little horns, you know. She was this cutie, but I don't think so. Yeah, and why she didn't want to protect Feyre? I mean, like, he would take Nesta instead of Feyre, but she didn't. She said no, right? She
I mean,
didn't.
like, what do you think he would take Nesta?
Well, actually,
No. The thing was, I remember that, like, and it was super funny because he barges in, like, screaming murderer, and he says, like, who murdered who actually killed the wolf? And Fairy's like, me, and Tamlin is like, you sure? You sure it's not the pretty one?
yeah, I mean, the thing is,
like, he noticed Elaine first, right?
no, Nesta.
Nesta.
Yeah.
Anyways, he
I mean, Nesta is the most beautiful. Everyone is saying Elaine, but it's actually Nesta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially in this last book. You know, when everyone was
Well,
saying...
obviously, if the last book is all about you, you're gonna be the prettiest one.
Yes, but like when they were describing all three sisters, you know, Feyre was the least beautiful. But it's actually funny, like, that in these series books, even Aileen wasn't stunning. You know,
Yeah.
she was pretty, she was okayish, pretty. Feyre is the same. She is pretty, and her sisters are, like, stunning, you know. And I don't remember all those adjectives they used to describe them, but, like, they were...
Okay, The Court of Thorn and Roses is written in the first person. Obviously, Feyre has, like, she doesn't have that much self-confidence, so she's not gonna describe herself as a fucking stunningly beautiful.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Right? So probably she's very much aware of the beauty of her sisters, and like I think it was like mentioned a couple of times, like they look a bit similar, at least the color of the hair, and like none of them is ugly. So
You get that they are sisters.
So my guess is Feyre is pretty.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like if Tamlin and Rhys fell in love, then definitely, and Tarkin
Ah,
would also.
well, they fell
all
in
the
love
High Lords.
with her personality.
Yeah, because she had such a great personality. But okay, I mean, so Nesta not protecting the youngest sister because, well,
Yeah, right. Okay, and again, this is like the birth order thing, right? You kind of.
But then again, like later we found out that Nesta went to where because he used magic then, the glamour, to change their memories. So they didn't remember that he came in, that he took their sisters. They remember that their sister went to take
care of the old aunt.
Yeah. But it didn't work on Nesta because she has mind of steel. Basically, she's stubborn as fuck. That's how nicely she's saying, "Oh, you have mind of steel. You know, we can use it. You know, when somebody speaks, you have mind of steel. You know, bless your heart. You have mind of steel." So yeah, and what I was trying to say.
Like the Tamlin kind of like trying. He
So it didn't work on Nesta, and Nesta came. She went to the wall. She wanted to actually go there and try to take her back.
Yeah.
So that said something about her. But then again, like in the moment he came in, she let her sister be taken away, and all she took care about was like Elaine, Elaine. I have to protect Elaine. And
let's say the family dynamics is very fucked up.
It is
in here.
And I must admit that in this whole first book, I mean, especially after reading Throne of Glass, I was forcing myself to read a bit because the behavior seemed very unlikely to me. Also, when they took her to the palace, to Springcourt, what was weird to me? Okay, well, life for life, that's a treaty, you know, and she was like, I have to go back, I have to save my family, they're gonna die. You know, because I promised my mother, who actually hated me and ignored me all my life, I have to do it, I gave my word. Well, anyway, she was whining all the fucking time. He could have killed you, you know, like he could take your life immediately. He could have killed. No, he took you to palace. He gave you some nice gown you didn't want to wear because you wanted to protect yourself. Okay, you can wear whatever do you want. I love that she didn't take stupid gown.
Yeah.
But then again, she's there. She's taken care of. She has all the food she wants. She has these two extremely handsome males. She can look around, you know. And she's just whining all the fucking time, you know. And it felt weird. It felt weird also that Tamlin was trying so hard to take her out and everything. And Lucian...
Oh, I'm like, was he trying so hard?
Okay.
He
was, I think.
Okay, I seriously doubt his capacity to actually woo any female. So in that limited capacity, he was trying. He was trying hard.
Yeah. I mean, like, because he was like, oh, I'm gonna take you around. And she said, no, I'm going with Lucian. Who actually was pretty open that he would like her death, you know?
Yeah.
But it's kind of...
Yet again, a female character that has a death wish.
Yes, like who I want to hang out with, the nice guy who wanna take me around to look around, or the guy who is claiming he want to murder me. And I'm actually surprised because of that she didn't fall for Lucian, you know, because he was telling her I want you dead. But then again, why later we learned why they were behaving so weird, you know, because I also didn't like the dynamics, like when, you know, the scene when they took her to Lake, you know, and she first saw Tamlin almost naked, you know, and Lucian was staying back and always giving them their time.
Poor thing Lucian, like a sprawl there on the blanket, drinking champagne straight from the battle, like, oh my god, this is taking so long.
And you know, like, and he had to like tag along all the time with them, and it just felt so weird. And I was like, okay, is this storyline an excuse for a female porn? That's what I was writing, like, because it was just so weird, like why he would like tag along with them all the time? Why Tamlin?
Is there gonna be a threesome?
Well, we learned later that there was in some imagination of some certain other character, but begging.
Oh, you're talking
about Nesta.
Oh,
and
Nesta,
Cassian, Ezreal.
Ezreal.
Oh well, Sarah went there all the fucking way.
No, well, like she could have taken us even further.
Of course she could, but she surprised me. I did not expect that. I was laughing so much actually when I was like, okay, girl. But back to Tamlin and Lucian. And yeah, it's actually funny to me that she didn't fall for Lucian. And anyway, it just felt weird. I couldn't believe the story because everyone was behaving so unlikely. And later we learned the whole point of her taking her there was actually to break a curse. So she falls in love with Tamlin, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he was trying so hard. But then again, like Lucian knew that she has to fall in love so they can break the curse and so they don't have to go under the mountain. But still he wanted her dead.
I mean,
He didn't come. When he told her how to capture cereal.
that motherfucker.
He said, "You scream, I'll come." He hesitated. If Tamlin didn't come, she would be dead, not because of Tamlin, but because of these other creatures, Nagas.
Nagas.
Yeah, because of Nagas. So he wanted her death, and he knew that she's their only hope.
So the way I see it, either Lucian knows Tamlin well, very well, and he knows if Tamlin falls for this girl, he will do what actually he did. He will pack her away in order to save her, because he knows like if Feyre breaks the curse by falling in love with Tamlin, Amarantha will go after her. So Tamlin will sacrifice everything in order to save the poor Feyre. Or possibly he was so skeptical and like he didn't believe and he didn't really want Tamlin to spend time on Fool's Errand. I don't know. The first option actually makes more sense to me.
Yeah, but one way or another, he didn't think it's gonna work. And what I was surprised when she all found out about this, she wasn't pissed that I would be, again, I imagine myself in her skin. I would be pissed that I was used, that like this, that all this was created so I can be used for to free someone, and I wouldn't believe that he loved me because he was telling her, I love you, and I was like, does he really, or he was just trying,
to kind of like say it back, please say it back.
Yeah. And that's funny because she's like, how old? She's 17 years old, 18 19 even.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, okay, like let's remember us in 19, like I don't know about you, but I was giving I love you like candies.
Funny.
I didn't realize the word.
19 years old me would come across fucking Fairy with long blonde hair and his estate, like, I wouldn't mind to be used like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my 30-something brain. It's different. Like when you're 19. When you're 19, it's just like you don't see anything.
It's quite different.
Yeah, but then again, like you remember when she was under the mountain, and they had that one moment when he could sneak away to her, and I mean, like I would expect him to tell her something, to tell her like whether, because they thought that it's gonna be the end anyway. So like to either to help her escape, to tell her that he loves her or something, encouraging, like to tell her like I cannot do anything not to, fuck this up, but I just want you to know. No.
Like, let's do this.
Fuck. And I'm like, when she has all this stuff like all
painted all over her body.
Yeah, so it's gonna be visible, and then like recent shows, and she was like what the fuck, like.
He was like, oh my god, I cannot believe these guys. Okay, you get out, you get over there.
Yeah,
like doing the crisis management.
Yeah, I'm doing damage control right now.
Total.
And I'm like, seriously, like why, So this was like very weird. But then again, like I know, like in the first book, everyone loved Tamlin, and there is like multiple reasons for that, right? Especially you mentioned a couple of them, and then we had those few spicy scenes that made us, well, okay. I can imagine myself in that situation. I'm that empathetic. But
so one more thing about Court of Thorn and Roses. When you were first reading that, how did you feel about meeting Rhys for the first time?
I liked him, of course. Because he was like, as she said, I'm gonna quote her, the most beautiful man I have ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Of
obviously,
course, I'm gonna run towards him.
yeah, but also he saved her life.
Yeah.
So there is no reason not to like him, right? So yeah, I definitely liked him. But the whole like
Calamai.
Calamai,
Calamai.
the night of Calamai, it was very hot, and especially when he came
Oh,
back.
okay, yeah, when he came back and was like all horny and he pinned her in the kitchen.
Yeah, but nothing happened.
Yeah, but it was like, and this is yet again, this is like reoccurring thing. Somebody says to Feyre, "Don't do this shit," and Feyre is like, "I'm gonna do the shit." Lucian says like, first Tamlin says, "Don't like stay in the house, stay in your room, don't go out," and she does go out. Then Lucian says like, takes her bag and says like, "Please, for the love of God, Feyre, stay in your room." And Feyre is like, she's like 2 a.m. I'm hungry. Let's get some cookies and milk or something.
Yeah, she was not the smartest.
And there was I know I have notes somewhere and actually I highlighted like every instance. Yeah, Alice says, "Do not make bargains." When she says,
Bargains,
when she's showing her way to the under the mountain, and she says, "Don't make bargains." And then Feyre walks in, make a bargain with Amaranta, then make a bargain with Rhysand. I'm like, honestly, girl, can't you listen?
Yeah, no, she cannot. But then we later learned that she's really not the smartest person on earth.
and we are not talking about the fact she cannot read.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, when Amaranta gave her the riddle, we solved it immediately. I was like, okay, I was thinking, this is probably it. And then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, girl, really? And then she was like, okay, I'm smart, like, if I solve the riddle. But, I mean, I think that Teresa knew it, like, the moment she said it. So she was not really the smartest, though.
Well,
But
she has other qualities.
Yeah, well, definitely she does, apparently, if she can wow Rhys and Tamlin
and Tarkin.
And Tarkin.
And probably Helion was also like...
Helion is into everyone. He's sort of a pansexual,
yeah,
I think.
Totally. Totally. I love him.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, back to Tamlin and his behavior after Under the Mountain. And, before we get there, there's one more thought. I love that on Instagram, people are saying like when there's gonna be a series, like, and this is gonna be the first season, let's all shut down up so everyone can get tattoos of Tamlin.
Name your kids Tamlin.
But anyway, I'm pretty sure some people already did that. There is like, I think it's statistically impossible that nobody would do it by now. But then again, like, imagine all this. He saw her die there. She broke her neck. She died. And apparently he really loved her. He was not like just pretending. And he took her home. And I mean, are we gonna blame him for trying to protect her if there was still active threat on her life? I mean, definitely he got a little bit overboard.
I'm sorry, a little bit?
He got overboard. But now let's imagine this. This happens to us, right? In some scenario, in some alternative universe. What your husband is gonna do? He's gonna lock you in a room without windows. So
probably this thought is gonna cross his mind. I'm not gonna lie. Probably he will be thinking about that.
I think that my husband would do the same, and I think like most of them, because there was like, let's be real, there was active threat against her life. So when we think about the future, when Rhysand takes her to Velaris, is she ever alone and not protected? I mean, she doesn't have like bodyguards, she doesn't have any sentinels around her, but she's in a guarded city that nobody sees, like, right? Mm-hmm. She has all these wards in the house where she lives. Nobody can attack her there. The only moment she's alone on her own without any wards is when actually Rhys take her outside, leave her there, because he used her as a bait for ACOTAR, who shows up, because he wants to snatch her to Hybern. And are we and now when you think about Tamlin, like he didn't have all like beautiful city where she could walk around, you know. He had just this palace which was worth it.
Which was not enough for Feyre.
Which was not enough. She felt the freedom in Valaris, but man, it was just a bigger palace with more people, right?
Well,
Yeah, but
yes and no, right?
Yes.
I do get your point. I don't fully agree with that.
yeah, because like tell me why.
And I strongly believe if she would voice to Rhysand that she feels unhappy in Bellatrix, he would take her somewhere else.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, she voiced that to Tamlin, and he was like, "Nah, you stay here." He
Oh
didn't.
yeah, that's true. That's the difference.
So
right?
the thing is, it's not about size of the cage, but about actually the other person listening or understanding your concerns or wishes.
Yeah. But then again, like I don't think that the reason really gave her real freedom. He gave her illusion of freedom. I don't think like he would allow her alone completely anywhere.
I mean, I really like Rhysand and would
Of
love
course,
to
like,
and would
Rhysand is
love
the
to come to his defense, but somehow I cannot. No, I mean obviously, and the thing is, we have to keep in mind those are characters written in very deterministic way, right? So
Yes.
they really will behave ideally consistently with the way they are written. So we really kind of expect Tamlin to behave differently because his primary motivation, his cornerstone, is being protective, right? And this is what actually Sarah takes and amplifies that in a way that actually creates a conflict between him and Feyre, which is beautifully done. I really like that. And with Rhysand, I mean, the thing is, I loved him in the first book. I really loved him in the second book, especially if you are rereading the second book and you know he knows Feyre is his mate and all the shit that he does. Like, for example, when I was rereading the second book, and at some point when Feyre meets the inner circle and Rhysand says, like, if you are looking for a release, I'm pretty sure Cassian would be happy to oblige. And I was like, motherfucker, what are you trying to pull here, right? Like, she's your mate. How can you kind of like pimp your friend to your mate? Like, are you crazy?
Yeah,
It doesn't really make sense.
But then again, like he knew about Cassian Wingspan, and not every woman can biologically.
So you're like,
manage it.
Like, he was like, okay, she'll
She will
see this ding dong and get scared and run away.
and run away.
Still doesn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense. Anyways, I feel like Rhysand is not written so consistently, and especially after A Court of War and Ruins, right? He's just like this overprotective asshole. He basically kind of turns into Tamlin. I don't know. Maybe it's what Feyre does to males.
Maybe it's her, not them.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, but then again, you know, like when I'm talking again about Tamlin, I mean, like he had like definitely huge PTSD from under the mountain. He had also nightmares and everything, and he apparently was so focused. He was dealing with his trauma differently, you know, and he just didn't know how to help her, right? And then this was his friend Ianthe who knew how to, you know, putting ideas into his mind, and she was
Fucking Ianthe. Oh.
yeah, and Ianthe.
Ianthe.
Ianthe. See, Ianthe in my head. Ianthe.
Oh yeah, I pronounce that as well.
So she was kind of brainwashing him, and he was trying to help Feyre. And she was giving him ideas how, so it wasn't like definitely helping, and she was unhappy. And I was actually, one thing that surprised me, she was like 5 months since Under the Mountain when the wedding took place, and that's when she realized she's unhappy. It took her 5 months, right? And I think it's amazing, because if you are in a relationship where you are unhappy,
like it takes
you years. Some people even
Yeah.
decades. Some people even die in the relationship, you know. So it's just like for a 19-year-old after 5 months, you know, realizing that, like, wow, I wouldn't.
Well,
in her place, I would be married and
Feyre.
unhappy and
Yeah.
probably die there. So like, wow. So that was one thing that goes for Feyre.
Good job, girl.
Yeah, but then again, I know like people hate Tamlin now after the second book, but I don't think he's the villain, honestly.
Oh no.
I think that like if he and yeah, he had these tantrums and everything and his rage issues. I mean, like again, I don't blame the guy. We know about his family, about his childhood, about his brothers, about his father. Uh, we know why he's like that. Like he never learned any emotional regulation. Like he's from. But then again, like Lucian too. When at least Lucian had a normal.
Oh, but Lucian had like much more empathy and like emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah, I just want to say like they had probably very similar backgrounds. Yet they were different. And I mean even Tamlin, like coming from like such family, he turned out pretty okay. Like he was not a brute. He was not like he had emotions, he had feelings and everything. He just didn't know how to regulate it. Nobody ever taught him so I think like if he went to psychotherapy he would solve everything. He would be such a nice guy. Well, anyway, so I don't really get this hate toward Tamlin, and I know that some people want some redemption arc for him, but then I think that there was some redemption because he loved her all the time. Like he was broken-hearted, and the moment like she ended up in Highburn army camp, he came to help her, and he knew that that's the moment he's losing the ability to be this double agent. He saved her life basically. He took his army to war. He even like took Autumn Court with him, so he really did a great job there. And even though he hated Rhysand as the most hated person for him in the entire world, what he did there, he saved his life. So he did all this, and you don't think he has redemption. And then until the end of the book, he's just a creature so lost in he's depressed.
Yeah, and there comes Rhysand and kicks him when he's down.
Yes, exactly.
Like what the fuck, Rhys?
Yeah, and then
honestly, like this was totally so out of character, and that's why I'm just a little bit angry. And usually I don't get like that. I get it, like this is author's choice, and I can fully respect that. I don't feel like need to call for a petition to rewrite that, but it's just so out of character for Rhysand. Really behave like I mean. He might have reasons because Tamlin being involved in murdering his family.
That's actually that's the worst thing I think he ever did, and that's the reason why we could hate him, because he was involved in that. I mean, he wasn't the one to kill them. He was the one to provide the information to his brothers and his father. So he played the role there, and I get it if he hates them for then he should, But like from the storyline, he was hating him because he hurt Feyre. So I hate everyone who hurts her, and I want everyone dead. And that was
that was
like
I don't know. I kind of felt like he was a bigger man, Rhysand, than this, and it just felt so off for me.
Yes, exactly. And also when he came to him and he was like, eat, and he just like with his powers like made the food for him, eat them. In his head was like just what Lucian told him, like you need him. And that was the only reason you chose to be kind, like just because you of course like you need him and everything. And oh my god, he hurt my precious Feyre, but like if you want to kill everyone who hurt your girlfriend, how better you are than Tamlin with this protectiveness and everything. So Rhys also lost some points for me also.
But I still loved him in Mist and Fury.
Yes, that's
especially the first part when Feyre, she was healing, right? Like she was going through that traumatic experience, tried to heal, and I really like how Sarah kind of like gave us glimpses of that healing, and that was actually every time she kind of paused and imagine a certain scene as a painting.
Yeah.
For Feyre, when she's safe and mentally well, she paints, right? She did that also in the first book when she started to paint, when she started to feel safe in the Spring Court because Tamlin took care of her family. And then she goes through the like super traumatic experience under the mountain, then the lack of proper help gets her like spiraling down, then the wedding blows up and she's like I don't know, it's just the word. And then she starts to heal and she starts to think about painting, think about colors, think about textures and all this stuff. I think like the first time was when she was training with Cassian, and she noticed like how the sun shines through his wings. And here we go with Cassian Wingspan again. Anyway.
Our mind goes elsewhere. And if you read the book, yours too. You dirty mind.
Exactly. Here we go. So I really liked how Rhysand. For me, it felt like Rhysand was just there and supporting her, and they're like. I feel it was done on purpose, drawing parallels between how Tamlin was handling Feyre's bad mental state versus Rhysand, right? When she was in the spring court and she woke up and she went to vomit, Tamlin was always like either sleeping or turned himself into the beast and kind of like tried to protect her from the outside threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in the meantime, the threat was all the time inside Feyre. Her mental state was crumbling, and he was trying to protect her from the evil outside, right? Meanwhile, Rhysand, he actually runs to her, holds her hair while she's vomiting, and he talks to her, right? And oh my god, the love notes, the sexting.
Oh my god, yes.
That was
They took sexting back in the day when there were no phones.
I just love when there's a good banter between two protagonists, and that was that. And that was like he did it, I guess, on purpose to kind of like take her out from her shell, to kind of like really make himself like annoying or like teasing her. I'm not really sure, and that's what helped to break through that wall she built around herself.
It's actually interesting because, like they were talking about brooding, and then there is like later the scene when after they came from summer court and he's upset there because they got the rubies, which is like Tarkin.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't mind to be that enemy of Tarkin to get the rubies. He's so kind. I'm gonna kill you. Here is a ruby. And he was upset, right? And she came to him and to take him away from the brooding, trying to imagine scenes from the lingerie store.
Yeah.
With those lacy little things. But is it bad? To sometimes, like, if you feel sad or upset about something, it's bad? To be brooding, to be sad about something?
Yeah,
like, do you really have to? Because in her case, she was for a long time in that. Clearly, she wasn't able to get out of that, But if you have, like, some situation like this, sometimes you really need that time to be upset, and then like you will get. I mean, like he wouldn't be depressed forever, Like that would be maybe like one day or like half a day or whatever.
Sometimes it's perfectly okay to brood, to kind of wallow in that sadness if that's what you need. The question is, was it that what Rhysand needed at that moment? We don't know. Sometimes my husband is like, "Oh, you are sad. Let me cheer you up." Like, please don't. Please don't cheer me up. I believe we need to normalize the fact that people are not happy 100% of the time. That's perfectly normal. It's okay to be unhappy. Sometimes you need to go through that emotion. But the question is not whether it's okay or not, but the question is what Rhysand actually needed at that moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe he needed that mental image of sexy lingerie in his head.
And then he inserted the image into her head.
I was like, motherfucker, what are you doing there?
A very interesting thing, like he knew all the time they're mates, and he was suffering through it. Because like imagine that she's the one, yet she's in love with your enemy. And then she's upset about him and everything, and then like you're in summer court and she gives like this beautiful compliment to Tarkin when she tells him it would be so easy to love you, but even easier to be your friend. And he hears it, and then he's upset like she didn't.
And she smiles at Tarkin. That was the
first time she smiled.
Yeah, and he noticed that like that was the first time, and maybe he's not angry about the words, but he's definitely angry about the smile.
Yeah, and I mean he was like really suffering through all this time. And now, like, again, the communication, right? Like, okay, she's a 19-year-old, but boy, you are 500-year-old, you know, like, you could, like, kind of get already into this communication because, like, oh my God, the miscommunication there. But we will go to other 3 characters who, like, are excellent at miscommunication for over 500 years, right? But let's get back to Rhys and Feyre. So he's not telling her he's her mate, he's waiting for her to figure it out. And she never figured it out. Obviously.
Oh my God, she couldn't figure out the riddle from her. Like, Rhys, what were you thinking?
Yeah, she needs a serial. Like, she needs to capture him to tell her, like, girl, he's your mate. But,
oh my God, it's surreal. Like, I just love the character. Like,
yeah, so
every time Feyre is like absolutely lost.
she's like,
And
he's
Sarah
the
is
guy.
like, girl, listen to me. I'm gonna save the situation for you.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, also about Feyre, you know, she grew up in these, like, whole old tales about fairies and how, like, deadly they are and, like, how you're gonna die immediately as you cross the border, whatever. And then she comes there and she's becoming friends with all these weird creatures, you know, not just Cereal, but Briaxis, you know.
Yeah. In the first book, when the blue fairy with cut off wings is brought to the spring court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like super sensitive and
she's very empathetic,
yeah.
You know, those water creatures.
Yeah.
You know, because Tamlin, you have to pay me taxes, but we don't have anything. You fucking have to pay me taxes, you know. And she came there to, like, take all my jewelry and save yourself. So yeah, she's like
she's a very selfless girl.
Yeah, she likes all those misfortunate creatures. But maybe that's what her sisters told her. Maybe they reminded her, like, oh, this is like my sisters. But what we were saying.
Like, Feyre wasn't able to figure out that she is Rhys' maid, and he's like going through all the feelings.
Yeah, but I think it's also a funny thing, not funny, but I mean in this book later with Nesta, like, why they never figured out those female. It's always males, you know. Lucius see immediately Elaine is his mate. Cassian knows that. Rhys knows that, and they're like, why didn't you tell me?
This is a good question, and I think it's a kind of mirroring how relationship between man and woman in real life works, right? And it was also described, like, for males, when you are mated, it's like extremely strong emotion, and I guess like shitloads of hormones are released.
like their reaction is like, I want to fuck you for an entire week.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Yeah, again, it's like very, very much physical reaction, right? Also, I think I'm not really sure it was the court of Wings and Ring when there was mentioned, like, sometimes like female can reject the mating bone, but can male? Probably not, because it's like physically impossible for him because
Poor
hormones.
Lucian.
And it feels like to me a little bit similar to how the relationships between men and women work in the real life. Like, usually males feel kind of like, if I like the girl, I am entitled to her, while when it comes to accepting the relationship from the woman's part, it takes some time, right? I don't think like it ever happened to me. I saw a boy and I was like in love with him.
No. I mean,
like I wasn't not talking about book boyfriends, obviously.
That we knew immediately. But I mean, like, when I'm thinking about my husband, I knew immediately I like him, but obviously.
Okay, but it's not like you're gonna
later.
climb him right there.
No. But also, my husband didn't. Actually, may I say a funny story?
Yeah, please do.
You know, when Nesta and Ares are dancing, because they're gonna use Nesta. For him to kind of fall for her.
I love that. I love that energy between them.
And you know what was funny to me, because I remembered, like, the first time I met my husband, it was actually on the party and I was dancing, but he liked me not for my dancing, but despite. He's still telling his story. Like, I was looking, I was like, what the fuck? She's totally like cannot hear the music.
And your husband is kind of like a music enthusiast. Like, he plays some instruments.
My husband is a musician.
He produced music.
So, I hope our son is getting the genes from him on this side. But see, I felt like Nesta, just different way, all the other way around.
He was also impressed by her dancing.
Yeah, he was impressed by definitely not my dancing, but he always remembers it.
You know, like, he thought, like, she's so pretty, I don't even mind, she cannot dance.
But definitely it wasn't love at first sight. That's all I can say.
Anyways, it feels like, like men tend more to pursue the relationship, right? Being the even aggressive ones in order to pursue somebody they fancy.
I don't know, because like from my experience again, and girls I know it's actually other way around, because like for example, again, I'm gonna get to my story with my husband. I was the one who called him after, I mean, I was running back then, and I was kind of using his like, do you want to go like for running, and he was the more passive one, and then I was like looking at my friends, and I realized like most of them had actually passive boyfriends, like later husbands. Like they had to like, okay, like one of them was already so upset that she took him down, and she's like,
really?
okay, I like you. If you like me, let's go out together, Yeah, like from my personal experience and experience of some of my friends, it really was that way, because it was like, come on. Like I mean, like,
there
let's
are
not waste
a
time.
lot of shy men in your bubble.
Probably, I don't know, but then again, like when I'm imagining myself in this story, first of all, like we wouldn't even get to under the mountain, because I would just say I love you like very quickly. Then when we went there, I would immediately solve the riddle, right? So, and I was like thinking, and then if I wasn't happy with Tamlin, I could communicate it like and or get away with the
But
reason,
again,
then
the
hell,
story
tell him.
would get this short.
Yeah, we would have like all this would end up in like this short book. So
I just hate the Christmas special, sorry.
Yeah, we're not fans that much. Nothing really happened there. But anyways, it was nice. There was one scene that actually I liked.
Which one did you like?
The only one.
Which one?
There was just one sex scene.
Oh, the sex scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because other than that, nothing really happened.
Remind me about this. What was
Oh
the
my
sex scene
god. Oh. Jesus, I forgot. But I know that he took her into her mind so she can see how he's fucking her.
Oh, that can be.
That happened.
That is nice.
Man, we will have to like put this on YouTube, like very explicit.
Very explicit. No, I mean, like
Well, all our podcasts are.
we could overdo it a bit more even.
Yes, we could go into more detail. But I mean, if you read the book, you are not like surprised.
Well, we were talking about recent, and we are slowly building to that chapter 54 and 55.
Yes, and that was awesome. Like when he came to the cabin, the way like she made him that soup, and he was like, "You're making me soup." It's such an important thing. I was just like, I don't know how to cook. I'm just gonna
Like,
eat it for you.
No. She was like, are you cooking a soup for me? Like, no, I'm not cooking. I cannot cook. I'm heating. And it was beautiful because like the entire chapter 54 was Rhysand retelling the story, and that was the profession of love. That was beautiful. And after that, like immediately went and reread all the scenes in A Court of Thorns and Roses, and
it just gave it like totally different energy.
Yeah.
And I mean, like it was just so beautiful. Like the entire like whole thing.
There you are. I've been looking for you.
Yeah. Thank you for finding her for me or something like that.
Yeah.
It really was beautiful.
It
So
was.
yeah, Rhysand was really
And he kind of like laid out all the story, all the emotions, and Feyre was like, so you wanna eat the soup?
that was it.
And then she was like, eat. Yeah, Feyre, she's not a woman of many words.
Yeah.
Though she can reheat the soup like nobody else.
And she can paint apparently, and do other stuff too. So yeah, like Rhys is definitely a book boyfriend material.
Yeah.
But later in books,
I made some stupid decisions and
a lot of stupid decisions, very weird behavior. Also, like when her sister was there, I mean, like with nobody like Nesta. Let's face it.
No, honestly, I'm not a huge Nesta fan. I mean, I get that she has a lot of issues, but sorry, everybody in those books, in all of Sarah's books, have a lot of issues. I believe she's being unnecessary asshole.
Yeah.
And maybe
true.
maybe it's because I have like completely different way of dealing with my problems. I really cannot connect, right? I cannot really understand why she's doing shit she's doing. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, like she had really nice redemption arc, and she had like really big character development. I think she had the biggest.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking
No.
What
Yeah,
biggest?
well, She has the biggest because
because
Cassian's wingspan is the biggest. No, is it or is it Azriel's?
I don't know. We will find out in next book.
Oh shit.
But okay, I don't want to run like too much forward, but you know, like there's this like weird chemistry between Elaine and
Oh yeah, Elaine and Azriel and Lucian and all the weird shit.
Yeah,
going
I think that
on
Elaine
there.
is gonna surprise us. I hope.
I feel like we are being prepped for that.
Yeah, because she's like gentle flower there, but she can really. I think she's gonna really surprise us. She's gonna go all the way. But like, let's go to the scene where Feyre is giving birth to her baby. When Nesta is there, you know, and she's saving her. She also fixes her down there, so her vagina is ready for the wings for the second baby if they
But
ever
she
have.
doesn't do that for Elaine.
Yeah, she does it for herself because she apparently Cassian, right? She does it for Feyre, but she doesn't do it for Elaine. So and if
either Elaine will end up with somebody else than Azriel, or she will die while giving a winged birth to, or they won't have a kid, or I mean, like there are a couple of
options, but I think it's a kind of a big thing, like because I noticed that like why she didn't do it to Elaine if she was already there, just in case, you know, maybe.
At that moment, I mean, like
Maybe
I don't think. And I don't remember really. Maybe it is there, but I don't feel like Nesta was aware about the chemistry between Azriel and Elaine.
I think that she was picking up something because she was in the same room as them and she saw that.
I don't know, like she is pretty oblivious to all the social cues. So
let's go to pregnancy and the recent behavior there. Why the fuck didn't he tell her? I don't know. Like what he was trying to protect her from.
What really drives me crazy about pregnancy is following, right? And we've been both pregnant. We have a kid.
Yeah, we know that we don't look like that, but it happened.
Okay, you get this female heroine that is doing amazing things. She has a shitload of power. She becomes a high lady of the night court. Mm-hmm. But fucking second she gets pregnant, she's just like being cooped up somewhere and doing charity work.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Honest, and this is and it drove me so crazy because when I became pregnant and lucky for me, my pregnancy was like easy breezy. Honestly, I wasn't really throwing up. Poor Barb wasn't able to hold down anything.
Yeah, for me it was definitely not the best part of my life. So,
It wasn't best part of my life, but honestly, I didn't have like any complications. And what I really hated, like when people started to treat me like I was sick, and I was like, people, I'm just pregnant. I mean, I cannot probably ride a horse or jump out of the plane.
Not that you are doing it like in your daily life.
I'm not. And it felt like, okay, first of all, like she's pregnant. She was sidelined so fast. And I knew Feyre was pregnant because like there wasn't much of Feyre happening in the book. And this is what really riles me up, because the fact that woman is pregnant doesn't mean she cannot
do anything,
right? Like she has to
She's
sit down and wait until she gives birth.
Yeah.
And that annoyed me a lot. Because yet again, that was repeating that stereotype of when you are pregnant, you cannot be a main female character, I guess. I don't know.
You know what I just remembered? You know, in Africa, in some countries, you have a lot of terrorist groups and Islamist groups, and you know, and there was this one kidnapping kids from schools. And there was this story back in the day, I think it was a few years ago, about the woman who was hunting them. She was heavily pregnant, and she was hunting for Boko Haram and saving kids.
Oh,
and
wow.
She was very, very pregnant when she was doing that.
I mean, I want to read that story.
So, yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable. And my first 3 months, like, okay, I just felt like puking all the time, right? Like, it can happen, like, you know. But when you're okay, like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
What Rhysand did, he, like, threw a shitload of protective spells and enchantments and wards around her. And,
yes,
and I feel like
they couldn't even kiss her on cheek.
I don't know.
Yeah, so but the Tamlin was the one who was suffocating with his protectiveness. Well, at least he didn't like have like this like thick layer around her. Imagine that what she would do if he did.
So this was like the one thing I was really even angry about it. Like, I don't want pregnant women to be sidelined the moments they get pregnant.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can be badass and pregnant as well.
Like, yeah, preach, sister. So yeah, definitely.
So that was one thing, and yeah, the birth and like, yeah, Rhysand didn't tell her. Actually, this is one thing I wouldn't say I'm like not on board with that, but I can see when he's coming from. And this is just repeating the same pattern when he didn't tell, he almost told her they were made back in that cave. He was trying to tell her at some point because he needed to figure out himself first. And it's, yet again, it's not like something I will tell you, you are dying right now, before I have to like go through my emotions first, like sort it out. And when I'm ready to be a partner for you and support you when you crumble down with that information, that's when I'm ready to tell you. So I believe he was like eventually telling.
Well, she would figure it out when she's dying, you know. So,
No, I certainly believe like he would tell her at some point. What I didn't like really like, he told many other people. And
like,
not
he
her.
told everyone, basically.
But don't tell Feyre.
By the way. Oh, man.
So I wasn't really that angry. I was angry like using that high risk pregnancy trope just to further Nesta's story.
Yeah.
That was like the only purpose.
Yeah. And what you're thinking about the deal they made, that if I die, you die?
Yet again, this is something a lot of people get angry about, and I get it. But also, I get why they did it. If you remember, in the very first book, yet again, when the blue fairy without the wings was brought into the house, and Feyre holds his hand while the fairy is dying, and Tamlin asks her, like, why did you do that? And she says, like, I am also afraid of dying alone. And that, and it was repeated at some other instance. And I guess that's why they make deal, because and I think Rhys says that to Feyre during Under the Mountain or something like that. I know it's discussed somewhere over there that they don't want to die alone.
Yeah, and they were
so that's why it's stupid. It doesn't really make sense, because if, like, let's imagine a situation, you have infant and something happens to Rhysand or something happens to Feyre.
It's an orphan. The child is an orphan.
Yeah, the child is practically orphan. I mean,
But
you don't have like any, like, do you have some follow-up plan, like who will be ruling the Night Court? Like,
is gonna take care of everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the devil himself, of course.
Lady Death.
Yeah. So, you know, like that was, I understand the reason, but the execution was shit poor.
Yeah, I mean, but they were also mentioning, like, they saw each other die. He saw her die in Under the Mountain, and she saw him die next to Cauldron.
Yeah.
So, like, they know how it feels when the other person dies. And they never wanted to feel it again. So, and they also did it, like, before she was pregnant or anything, you know. They didn't think about consequences. It was a spur of a moment. Let's die together.
I don't think this is something you should do.
No.
I mean, like, go get a tattoo if you are in spur of the moment. But please don't make deals like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can tell you a story again, like, about my brother taking a tattoo with his girlfriend, with his wife, you know. Okay. They got matching tattoos, and then 6 months later got divorced. But good thing they had the tattoos here, you know. So when you have a tattoo on your finger, you're like moving fingers a lot, so it gets down. So you have to like take couple of, like, you have to re-tattoo it a couple of times, so it stays.
So it will it vanish?
Away. Yeah. My husband is planning a lot of tattoos, and I was like, "And where are you gonna tattoo my name?" I was like, "I'm not." Thank you. But also, like, you know, when we're talking about marriages and everything, I have this theory, and I think that I mentioned it a couple of times in this podcast. I don't think the promise should be that I swear to be with you until the death takes us apart. I think it should be as long as it makes sense. Okay. So that's why I'm like definitely not.
I mean, honestly, it's more like realistic.
Yes.
I'm gonna grab water.
Is there something more we want to talk about recent, or we can move to
I mean, I can talk about reason
forever?
forever.
But you know what's interesting about the Sarah books? Not just this, but also about Throne of Glass. The universe there is very deterministic. You apparently, like, if these 3 Archeron sisters were mates to 3 Fays, they had to turn at some point. It had to happen. Because I don't know, like, you could be a maid with a human who has a few decades of life.
Do you think you can?
Really?
So one of the reasons why you do have mating bonds is for the nature to ensure strong offspring, right?
Yeah.
So technically, if it makes sense for the offspring genetic information, Fae can be mated with a human. Actually, Cassian felt the mating bond before Nesta was turned.
That's true.
And also Rhysand felt Feyre before she was turned.
Well, that's true, but then again, like, their children would be half Fae.
Yeah. But maybe, you know, it's like with dogs, when you are like not pure breed, when you are mixed breed, you are stronger and more resilient.
Yeah, but then, like, when you're thinking about Faes and humans, you know that Fae are so superior. Like, and now when we are talking about Fae, first of all, like, they're all beautiful, extremely beautiful, right? They smell always of something like pines or sea and citrus, like we smell of sweat. Apparently, they taste exquisite.
Which we don't always do.
I don't know if somebody ever told you you taste exquisite. And apparently, you know, like, they are really... They are not STDs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're for 500 years fucking around, you know, and you are, like, admiring, like, oh, their skills, but you're not afraid that you're gonna get an STD from them.
No. I know we discussed that in the 4th wing, and we discussed that during the Throne of Glass. Apparently, in the world of the Masters, there are no STDs.
Yeah.
And good for them. Good for them.
Yeah. And then again, like, they're all very... Those males are very... well, they don't all have wingspans, but you know what I mean.
They do all have, like, penises?
Well, a human...
Considerable length?
Of considerable length. Yeah, which brings us to other characters.
Of considerable length?
Yeah, I mean, like, when we're talking about wingspans, who do you think has the biggest one?
Honestly, I think it's Azrael.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, like, Cassian, like, seems... Definitely Cassian has a bigger wingspan than Rhysand. Rhysand is half Illyrian anyway. Apparently that's the Illyrian genes there.
Oh, okay, so...
Yeah, but then I don't know.
No, you know, like, usually Azrael gives me those, like, freak in the sheets kind of vibes.
Yeah, he's kind of like, you know...
He's like, so, like, silent
Yeah.
and deadly and everything. And, like, you know basically nothing about him.
Yeah, so gonna surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elaine. That's why it makes sense, you know, like, they're gonna be the biggest freaks there.
Yeah.
That's
I
gonna-
mean,
and
and imagine, like, we are getting, like, progressively more spies in the books, so imagine what will come after a Court of Silver Flames.
than this. And I mean, like, when we're talking penis sizes, actually, I have to read from this book, man. So, like, when Nesta was describing Cassian, his cock was enormous, beautiful and hard, and absolutely enormous. Her mouth dried out. Every plan she had requiring sudden reassessment. There was no way he would fit entirely in her mouth. Perhaps no way he would even fit in her body. But she would die trying.
And Nesta is like,
Like, let's...
challenge accepted.
Yeah. And you know, like, I'm reading this and in my mind, because again, like, you know,
You're picturing everything.
I'm pathetic. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking dislocated joint in her jaw. And you know, like, puking all around. But apparently she's a very, very durable person. She can handle a lot, you know.
Yeah,
Her joints
a lot.
here are like, yeah, mine would like snap immediately, but hers. So yeah, like, that's why, you know, like, when I'm thinking about these males, Cassian is definitely not on my list. I don't think.
And imagine Azrael being even bigger.
Yeah, like, no. I think biologically it would be very
Yeah, I
impossible.
think we are done here.
Fuck. So thank you very much for listening to the High on the Bookshelf podcast with Barb and Simi.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can rate and follow this podcast and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We're also on Instagram, so follow us on bookshelf_pod.
See you next time.
Bye.